911 location of your emergency.
Breaking news out of North Idaho. Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road.
Is she breathing?
No.
So 5'10", all black. Could you see what color his eyebrows were or anything like that?
No, I don't remember what his eyes look like either.
Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves, but no weapon has been located at this time.
Arrested. That's 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger in custody today.
Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false.
We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Everything is alleged. Hey guys, good morning. Good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are on the planet. Hello, hello. How is everyone doing today? We are going to be going over, it's a redacted document, but it's an unsealed redacted document when it comes to Bryan Kohberger's psychological evaluation information. Now, right here, right, I'm not muted, yay! Right here is the official link to the Idaho Case of Interest site, but like always, there's also a link for this in the shared Google Drive for those of you who cannot access, because you're out of the country or for whatever reason, who cannot access the Idaho Case of Interest site. It is also on the Google Share Drive. Now, in case you needed any reason to dislike Bryan Ensign even more and prove that he's really just not a journalist whatsoever at all, I saw a TikTok of him, I think it was yesterday, discussing this document. And you know what the dumb shit said? People magazine was able to obtain the psychological evaluation. And I'm like, hey, dumb shit. Hey, stupid. It's been on the public interest site for like a week now. People magazine didn't get shit. And why are you a reporter that talks to the Goncalveses, that has been covering this case for years now, and your source for the psych eval is People magazine, as he's reading pieces of the People magazine article instead of pulling them from the official source like he should? Enton has gotten his information from People magazine and just went ham. Never mentioned that it's actually on the official website or anything. Just People magazine, People magazine. I really wonder if he got paid for that. I really am wondering if he got paid to say that he got his information from People magazine. Because they don't have anything we don't have. They literally have the exact same unsealed document. They didn't do shit. So that was just crazy to me. Like, why in the hell are you giving them credit for that? It's right there on the official site. That's crazy. But if you just needed, again, another reason to just understand that he's not worth a shit, you know? I mean, holy crap. Okay. Let me see how I have this thing on here because y'all need to be able to see it too. Alrighty. Now, this is, again, a little bit redacted. And I want to remind you guys, before we get started, what has already been stated by the state. Regardless of the pieces down here that are redacted, Bryan Kohberger is not a psychopath. Bryan Kohberger has never been diagnosed as a psychopath. He is not a psychopath. The court cannot legally agree to not call him a psychopath if he has a medical diagnosis, especially while going through the court process and done by either the defense or the state. They cannot come out and say, oh, he's not a psychopath, if the evaluations presented to the court, public or not, say he's a psychopath. He's not a psychopath. So for people that are trying to say, oh my God, all the blacked out stuff proves he's a psychopath and that's why they have it redacted. No, you're just stupid and don't know how to listen. Try paying attention. You'd understand that you're wrong. And you just need him to be some sort of weird psychopath to fit into your weird little box. And when you see that instead he just has other issues, ARFID, OCDs, autism, different things, you can't deal with that because holy shit, that means you have to actually listen. That means you have to actually pay attention and recalibrate everything that you've thought about this entire case because all of those things fit in and you won't do that. So instead, you don't care about the actual issues and what that means. He's just a psycho. That's what I've been seeing over the past few days, and it's absolutely stupid. There's no one that's ever going to convince me that I'm on the wrong side of things when that's the way that side acts. Like, hell no, that's crazy. Nope, not doing it. Okay. It's so much. It's so stupid. Oh my God, I can't deal with it. It's so ridiculous. Okay. Now, there are two different papers for this. But one of them, like, they're pretty much the same, but one of them has like a, it's a paper from somebody in Texas. I think we've seen it before. Is that the one I have up? Let me check. Yeah. So it looks like this person here, this Cecil Reynolds, I guess like went through Rachel Orr's work because he worked with Orr. So that's why I wanted to just go ahead and get it off of the one from the Texas person, because the Rachel Orr is attached to it. And Rachel Orr doesn't say anything other than this in her report. So I wanted to read this one because there's just a little bit more information about the people that actually worked on the evaluation. So this is the one that we're going to read right here. Okay. So again, this is the affidavit of Cecil R. Reynolds. And he's been a psychologist since 1978, and he works in Texas. He has stuff about Texas A&M University and stuff like that. But what he has done on this case starts right here on number 4. During my work with the defense team, on my recommendation, and after extensive vetting, they selected and hired... Oh, wait. Do I need to read up a little bit more? Yeah, let's start with number 3. I have been retained as a consultant in issues of mental health and neuroscience by the defense in Mr. Kohberger's case. It's actually interesting, the neuroscience thing. Remember the girl that said that he was cornering her or whatever in the hallway, what he said he wanted to talk about with her? Neuroscience. So apparently he thought that she was pretty smart and he wanted to sit down and study a very intricate subject with her. I don't see how that equals a woman hater. I don't see how that equals sexist. It sounds like he appreciated her brain and knew the kind of work that she had done in their neuroscience class and really wanted to appreciate it. That's what it sounds like to me. And people don't see that. They see whatever they're hearing and they're not thinking further to be like, damn, that's interesting. He wanted to talk to her about neuroscience. He must think she's smart. Nobody thinks about that. That's crazy as hell to me. They just see what the mainstream media wants you to see, and they don't even think. They're so shallow thinkers. Okay. One of my key roles in this case is to assist the defense team in locating and securing the work of the most appropriate and properly qualified experts in the fields of psychology, neuropsychology, and forensic psychiatry. During my work with the defense team on my recommendation and after extensive vetting, they selected and hired Dr. Julez James, neuropsychologist. She performed many hours of work, including testing Mr. Kohberger and conducting collateral interviews. Over the course of many months, she collected data and prepared to write a report. She had one additional round of testing planned to clarify diagnostic issues present with Mr. Kohberger prior to writing her report. Now, this is where we find out that she passes away. Shortly before that trip, so she was just doing, it sounds like she had all of her information done. She was just going to do one more round in order to verify what she already came up with. She was going to be double checking her own work. Shortly before that trip, Dr. James unexpectedly passed away. I was unable to interview her regarding her incomplete impressions and again incomplete testing data, and developed an understanding of the additional work required, which included the addition of a forensic psychiatrist on the team. She was unable at that time to forward her records, testing, and notes to me due to the severity of her illness and its unexpected and rapid onset. That whole thing right there is just wild to me. It really just is. But I also don't understand how she didn't have an assistant that could send the files over. I don't understand how her being sick stopped the files from being sent over. She's not a one-woman show. She had people that worked with her. So I just find it strange. It had nothing to do with her, but the people around her. You'd think that they would want to finalize her work, because I highly doubt that this was like the only thing that she had going on at the time. So I don't know. I hope they have that information now so they could compare it. It'd be good to know that it's not just like gone, you know. After her death, I assisted the team in interviewing and selecting an expert to assess Mr. Kohberger. It was necessary to review and vet multiple experts to ensure the proper expert would be retained. The team subsequently selected Dr. Rachel Orr as a replacement for Dr. James and added Dr. Eileen Ryan, forensic psychiatrist, whose expertise was then also required. I made several attempts to attain the raw data from testing performed by Dr. James. I was not successful. How are the files just not reachable? That's weird to me. I understand what she died from I think some sort of a really aggressive cancer that by the time they found it, it was just too late and it just took over. I mean, I've seen it happen. It pretty much happened that way with my mom's husband. It pretty much happened that way with my sister's best friend's mom. And it was done like within not very long, like no time for the family to even accept the fact they were sick and they were already gone, that kind of shit. So it happens. But not being able to get into her files, not being able to get sent her files, not being able to ever access those files, that's crazy. I don't really quite understand how that's a thing. I really just don't. That's crazy to me. As a result, the neuropsychologist hired by the team had to conduct testing and interviews as if none had been previously done previously. This substantially delayed the development of a full understanding of his neuropsychological status and the determination of an evidence-based, defensible diagnosis of his multiple mental conditions. And see, I remember hearing before, we talked about this before, I remember the state telling us before that one of their experts just quit. But I don't remember hearing about someone passing away on the defense side until something about this was released like a few months back. I don't remember hearing about that. I remember being pretty taken aback by it. Dr. Orr and Dr. Ryan have worked diligently to learn about Mr. Kohberger, review materials related to the case, conduct interviewing and testing, analyze the data, and write an expert report. And the defense team has made every effort to assist them in completing their work in the most timely fashion possible without compromising the integrity of their work. Neither Dr. Ryan nor Dr. Noor were able to present their findings to the team and developed initial reports until mid to late January 2025. Yeah, it seems that's when all of the reports were submitted. Like all of them, Psych, psychology, all of them. January 2025. Given the amount of work that had to be done, including in-person exams, reviews of extensive records, conducting many needed collateral interviews, and the like, I was frankly surprised either expert was able to respond as quickly as they did. The delay in diagnosis did not occur due to lack of diligence is owing to the untimely and unexceedingly unfortunate death of Dr. James. This is not signed. Where is your signature and the notary stamp? As a notary, this is triggering me. I mean, I'm not a notary anymore, but I was. I don't like this. I mean, it obviously doesn't mean much. They filed it. Maybe it's in another document. Is it at the bottom? No. Where is your notary stamp, sir? I don't like that you didn't sign this. I'm just going to say that now. Okay. Neuropsychological evaluation, phase 1. Here's Bryan's name, his date of birth, how old he was, his education, which is 18 years of regular school plus the master's degree. It shows that he's right-handed. The date of the report is 1/22/25. Board certified clinical neuropsychologist Rachel Orr. Reason for referral. Bryan Kohberger is a 30-year-old male who is charged with 4 counts of murder in the first degree and 1 count of burglary. He is referred for neuropsychological evaluation by his defense team to characterize his functioning, assist with differential diagnosis, and provide expert opinion to the court about the findings. Bryan was informed of the limits to confidentiality and the nature and purpose of the evaluation. He consented to the evaluation. Oh, let me put this on here because even though people see a title and a thumbnail, they still sometimes don't understand what we're doing here. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Let's see what I've missed over here. Hey there, Gloria. I don't think I've ever timed out anybody. I don't even think I know how to do that. I just, yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a member for over a year. That's crazy. Thank you for the Jules for Jules. I appreciate that. Thank you for the 799 butterfly. I have posted a package for your son. Where can I send the tracking details? To my email. It'll, well, actually, you can send it to my email, but once my P.O. Box people get the notice that something is on the way, I get an email from them. But here it is right here. Oh, he's going to be excited. Okay, so his thing he wants to do next, for those of you that are watching his little review channel, Pokemon is doing like a 30th anniversary thing with Krispy Kreme. So he wants to wait and he wants to go to Krispy Kreme when they do that. And he wants to do a full review of their little donut hole cups and all, I think 6 or 8, I think it's 6 of their Pokemon donuts. Cause he's like, we've been Pokemon freaks like our entire lives. And I've passed that. I have passed that down to my children's. So he wants to do that. So watch for that one because he's going to be not only on a sugar high and have frosting all over his face like a little crazy person, but it's Pokemon. And he's excited. I showed him the TikTok the other day and he was like, oh, that's the one. Because he's been waiting to try to figure out what he wanted to do. And he's like, finally, oh my God, that's the one. Okay, that's the one. So we're definitely going to do that. He's going to be excited. He's going to be excited for that. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you for the jewels again, Ro. And thank you so much for the 20 gifted memberships, Sleuthy75. Holy crap, Oli. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Congratulations to the new members. Oh, and by the way, okay, so one of the merch winners from the members only giveaway, and just a reminder, for the winners, I'm going to be sending y'all all that stuff on the 21st. But for those of you that won the merch, if y'all want to choose one of the new designs that I put on Spreadshirt, then you can do that too. You still have a few days. I'm not going to do it till like the 21st, 22nd, like this weekend. And I already had one say, hey, if you haven't sent them out, can I get this design? You sure the hell can. So if you want to go look at the community tab, or just, I think maybe if you're looking at this, you can see the bottom. There's like a Spreadshirt attachment. Like it's the only shop I know of besides Fourth Wall that YouTube lets you attach. So it should be down there. So if you want one of those new designs instead, let me know. I have no issue with that. We can totally do that. Okay. Now let's get back to this. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Okay. Records reviewed. Discovery related to the investigation, including autopsy reports, photographs, police narratives, interview documentation. Grand jury case number 29234 indictment. I really hope something happens here where they release the grand jury information. I want to know and I want to hear Bethany and especially Dylan at the grand jury. And you know what is crazy for those of you who might not have like realized this when we were going over that piece of the grand jury transcript of Dylan's that was released, even for the grand jury, Bethany got to zoom in. They made it known in that little piece that Dylan was there in person and that Bethany got to zoom in. They have allowed that girl to just not ever come back over state line ever again. When have you ever seen that kind of thing in a murder case in general, but a quad homicide? One of the most popular and most ridiculously insane cases on the planet. And you let one of them constantly just avoid anything? I mean, Kohberger isn't sitting there in the grand jury room. I don't understand why Bethany wasn't made to come in person. Everything about the way that they handled her is just odd to me. It's just all very strange. All very freaking strange. Oh my gosh. Thank you for some more jewels, Sweet Pea and Ro. I appreciate that. And 10 more gifted memberships from Therese and 10 more from Carrie. Oh my God. That's 40 new members. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, you guys. Congratulations to those who got those. I like when you guys are nice to each other. That's so nice. Okay. I hope this stuff comes out soon. And I know it's really rare, but there have been cases where grand jury stuff has been released. And so I feel like this is definitely one of them. Considering what we know about this knife sheath sample that was used at the grand jury, but they didn't do this mock purchase of his Amazon account until after the grand jury, like 2 weeks after the grand jury. That's sketchy. Yeah, we definitely need that grand jury information. We definitely need that information. Educational records, kinder through PhD records, including coursework, interviews, and correspondence contained therein. Mental health records, medical records, employment records, law enforcement interaction videos with examinee. We have 8/21/22, which is the August Latah County traffic stop where the cop lies. Y'all know that one. Traffic stop 10/14/22. That's the October one in front of one of the buildings at WSU. And then we have the 12-15-22 traffic stops. Well, it looks like, S stops. Those are the 2 in Indiana with his father. And then transport to jail after arrest in Pennsylvania, 12-30-22. I want that so bad. I want that so bad, because that's where he asked the Pennsylvania cop, if when this is all done and over with, can they go get coffee? That just shows you his pattern of, this is how I'm going to break the ice. This is how I'm going to try to find comfort in this crazy ass situation. We're going to talk about coffee. I really want that. I really want that recording. You know, the interview itself would be even better. But yeah, that's probably never going to happen. At least not anytime soon. Audio and or video recordings of interviews by law enforcement with Marianne Kohberger, Melissa Kohberger, Michael Kohberger, Amanda Kohberger, that's his immediate family, Brandon Andriola, William Daniel Parfit, Melanie Newley Wolf, Augustine Triumph Atta, Rebecca Armentrout, Danishka Davina Rosa, Gabrielle Best, Christian Martinez, Holly Lane, Adam and Xavier Taylor, Micah DeMoss, Jesse Burnett, Subhakar Ghosh, Caitlin LaRue and Zach Cartwright, Janelle Panna, Chad Moore, Mary Rose Perez, Alexandra Ferris. Now, obviously we know the family. We know this name, we've heard this name, and we've heard this name. I believe these are these officers? I think these are officers. I honestly can't remember, honestly. I don't know who these people are. I remember these names. Don't know who this best person is. Christian Martinez is the neighbor that invited him to the pool party. Holly Lane is the girl who gave him her phone and had him put her phone number in it. We've seen her in interviews. The rest of these, I have no idea. I don't know any of these people right here. Transcripts and narrative reports by law enforcement. Casey Arntz, that was the one friend that came out first, the female girl, the girl that said she knew Kohberger back when he was still in his H situation. We've all heard those interviews. Anthony Soma, and tips submitted by Gianna Soma, her brother on brother's behalf. I'm not sure who that is. Ryan Dowling, Cindy Arntz, Thomas Arntz, which would be Casey Arntz's parents. Rachel Fowler, Catherine Ramslin. That's the cruise ship main event, you know. Michelle Bolger. This is the professor that actually recommended him to the TA assistantship situation over at WSU. Jeffrey Clutter, Colleen Petrick, Emily Pindall. That's that crackheaded ass French sexual violent freaking weirdo that is literally trying to mold Bryan into some sort of deviant that she can study. You can tell by how she did that damn interview like a weirdo. Augustine Triumph Atta. Is that a professor? Is that a professor? Allison Ackerman is a professor. I'm pretty positive. Tara Partika. I feel like I've heard that last name before. Kimberly Kennelly, Wayland Savage, Robert Eller. Sampling of calls between examinee and family. Sampling of letters between examinee and family. And some of those letters somehow ended up in broken plea. Evaluation procedures. Measures administered. Weschler Adult Intelligence Scale, 5th edition. Selected subtest. Can I speak? Oh my God. Similarities, vocabulary, information, comprehension, block design, visual puzzles, matrix reasoning, figure weights, set relations, digit sequencing, running digits, digits forward, digits backward, symbol span, coding, symbol search. Wide range achievement test, 5th edition, selected subsets, word reading, sentence comprehension, controlled oral word association test, Stroop color and word test, Wisconsin card sorting test, Tower of London, 2nd edition, Trails X, Connors continuous performance test, Iowa gambling task, Dallas Kaplan executive function system, selected subtest proverbs test, autism diagnostic observation schedule 2, California verbal learning test, test of memory and learning, developmental test of visual perception, adolescent and adult, Identify, a test of visual organization and recognition, grooved pegboard test, Tom with 2 M's. I don't know what that is. Beck, I mean, I don't know what half this shit is. Let's not even pretend just because I can say it don't mean I know what the hell it is. I've never had to go through this kind of stuff. So I have no idea what pretty much any of this shit is. I mean, I understand what it is once I read it, but I've never heard of this stuff before. Beck anxiety inventory, Beck depression inventory, behavior rating inventory of executive function, adult version, social responsiveness scale, Connor's adult ADHD rating scale, informant measures, autism diagnostic interview, revised with Bryan Kohberger, behavior rating inventory of executive function, adult version, informant report, Marianne, Michael, Amanda, and Melissa Kohberger, social responsiveness scale, relative other report, Marianne, Michael, Amanda, and Melissa, Connor's adult ADHD rating scale, observer report, his family again, adaptive behavior assessment system, adult form, just mom. Direct interviews, in person except where otherwise specified. Look how many times she spoke to him. 10-9, 10-10, 12-4, 12-5, 12-6, and then again on 1/6/2025 before the final report was written. Marianne was talked to on 11/16 and 11/17, and then on video 12/9/24. Michael was spoken to on the 16th and 17th, and it looks like the same for Mel and Amanda, both on 11/16 and on the 17th. Ann Parham, that's another professor. She was interviewed on 11/14/24. Ellen Trexler was interviewed via video on 11/14. Jesse Harris is the owner of the boxing ring where he went as a teenager. 11/17/24. Ellen Novick Cohen was talked to on the phone on 1/20/25, and then there's stuff blacked out. Finally, Dr. Novick Cohen was interviewed to understand more clearly factors related to her psychoeducational report from 2005. So this must be somebody who did a psych eval on Kohberger back in 2005, and they were speaking to this doctor about, I guess, how she came to her conclusions for that report. Again, that's a 20-year-old report. 20-year-old report, including details relevant to the findings/conclusions, observations, recommendations, and context of the evaluation. Dr. Novick Cohen also shared information regarding her current practice and approach to certain types of evaluations. And then they have the relevant history blacked out. This is mostly medical stuff, I'm sure. Occupational history, history of employment in food service, retail, security, direct care, and most recently as a teaching assistant. Now, when it comes to food service, I don't believe, did he work at a restaurant? I don't remember ever hearing he worked at a restaurant or anything like that per se, but he did try to work at a fishery. And again, if you haven't found that interview and listened to that interview, I would just recommend going and listening to it because it's probably the most unbiased interview ever when it comes to anybody recollecting anything when it comes to Kohberger, because the guy is just like, he just kind of had an issue having, eye contact and dealing with people. Okay, well, I don't like dealing with people either. Lots of people don't like dealing with people. Plus, he was like 16 at the time, I believe. 15 or 16, I can't remember exactly, but he was a teenager. And then he couldn't get the knife skill down because of his dexterity and mobility issues that go along with his autism. He could not get the blade to do what the blade needed to do to make a pretty fillet of fish for the customers. So they just had a conversation and came to an agreement that the job just wasn't going to work out for Bryan. It just wasn't what he needed to be doing. It wasn't his fit. It wasn't, he got fired because he sucked. No, they had a conversation. He liked Bryan. He just didn't see him being able to actually do it. Bryan didn't feel comfortable in doing it, and they came to an agreement. It's the most unbiased, honest interview, honestly, because even after the name was out there, the guy didn't have anything bad to say. I don't remember him saying anything bad. It was real neutral and just it wasn't a good fit. We came to an agreement, and that was that. No big deal. And that's important. That he had no idea how to even handle a knife, because he literally couldn't manage it. Now, that's what they're also saying. Well, actually, maybe I should ask. No, I don't know. I don't ask case questions because I know that that's like a slippery slope because right now everything is like, but I would like to know about the button rumor. I believe it. I don't have a reason not to believe it, but there was a rumor that was posted by somebody claiming to be like an aunt or a cousin or something when the selfie came out. And what the rumor was is that the thumbs up that he sent to his mom was because he finally was able to get the top button done without it being a problem because of his mobility issues. The top button was an issue with the way that your hand has to angle and turn and stuff like that. So they're saying that that's what that was. And I don't have any reason not to believe that because of the history that we've seen here and what we know about him. But I would just like to know for sure. I mean, regardless, it's just a thumbs up. It literally means nothing. I would just like to know if that's the actual truth behind it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because that could literally just make everybody shut the hell up. Because, you know, nothing else makes them shut up, no matter how much you try to tell them. Selective. All right. Behavioral observations. Yeah, see? Yeah, I that's why I said I don't have any reason not to believe that, especially when he's had a history of having, like, these problems. I really have no reason not to believe that at all. So, I mean, maybe I'll just ask her. I mean, if she can answer me, she can answer me. If she can't, then she can't. But I'm curious, and I'll just probably ask her. I don't know. We'll see. Behavioral observations. Context of test administration. Bryan engaged in direct test administration with me in a conference room in the Ada County Jail in Boise, Idaho. Test administration was conducted across several days for several hours at a time, aside from restroom breaks. Bryan requested specific time blocks in the middle of the day, generally for 1 to 1.5 hours, to reportedly engage in recreation time or calisthenics, as he noted limited opportunity to engage in such behaviors that day if not performed during that specific time period, meaning he did not want to break his routine. Routines are very, very, very important to people, not only with OCD, but with autism especially. Bryan often discussed his preferred routine and specific time frames in great detail, including frequently referring to things he needed to get done during the day. Gross motor functioning. Notable for occasional subtle rocking of his upper torso while seated, often while engaged in a cognitive task or listening to someone else. That's pretty common. Multiple instances of pacing back and forth, waiting for correctional officers to retrieve him from the conference room when Bryan abruptly had to use the restroom. During these instances, Bryan communicated his perception that it was very urgent, that the urge to urinate crept up on him, and that he was concerned he might not make it while waiting for jail staff. On these occasions, Bryan provided no indication prior to such urgency that he needed to use the restroom. My 8-year-old does that. Like, if he's busy doing something, he'll ignore it until, like, he absolutely can't ignore it anymore. And then he'll hightail it like a psycho down the freaking hallway into the bathroom. And then you just hear him, like, pee real hard because he's been holding it forever. So could it be because he's just, like, focusing? He's not paying attention to it until it's too late. And then he's like, oh, crap, I have to pee. I feel like a lot of people do that. I mean, look, when I'm working, I will sit and sit and sit. I mean, look how long we sat for that 8-hour live. I didn't get up. As soon as I was done, holy crap, I had to go pee. And you can drive 8 hours in the car, not stop one time. The second you get like a mile away from your house, you're going to pee your pants. The second your brain knows you're about to have to open that door, oh my God, it's coming. So I don't really know if this means a lot to me right here. You know what I mean? I don't really know if that means anything. Just like this shit don't fucking mean anything either. But go ahead and be completely ignorant. That's fine. Okay. Bryan ambulated independently. Given constraints of the setting, I was not able to observe his gaits. So she couldn't watch him. I guess, like, walk off, I guess. Fine motor functioning. Right hand dominant. Notably, on a fine motor dexterity measure, Bryan moved his whole arm and repositioned his upper body slightly to manipulate the items effectively. Hands were observed to be red, chafed, and possibly swollen bilaterally during most sessions, worse in October of 2024. On all mornings during December 2024 and January 2025 visits, he had used petroleum jelly on his hands prior to our visit. His hands appeared less swollen and less red during my January 2025 visit. So he's washing his hands because of his medical OCD. biological OCD so bad. He's washing his hands so bad that his hands are getting chafed and red, and he's having to use petroleum jelly on his hands to give them a little bit of moisture back from all the water, taking all the moisture out so that his hands are less swollen. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Like I said, growing up, I saw in the wintertime my mother's hands do that because she's a beautician. So she was constantly in water, constantly washing people's hair and not using lotion, not putting any hydration back into her skin. So her tops of her hands would literally look like the desert when it cracks into like different hexagonal shapes and shit like that. The tops of her hands would look like that. Her cuticles and shit would bleed. It was ridiculous. But that's how I remember. Red, chafed, bleeding from the water, and always in the winter. Always in the winter. For some reason, she could wash hair and be in water constantly all other seasons of the year. But here comes winter time, and it made it horrible. And that's what I always end up coming back to. Even though we've seen pictures and we see, it's ridiculously red. Even from far away, his hands are like tomato red. It's very noticeable. Affect/emotional expression. Restricted range of facial expressions with stoic effect at baseline. So nothing personal when he's sitting in a courtroom and being yelled at and chastised and being called all kinds of names, that he sits there stoic and having no expression. That's literally that's how he emotes. That's what his brain does. Smiles were often slight, though there were a few occasions of notable brightening. At times, smiles occurred in unusual or incongruent context. Inconsistent social smiling, usually absent. Did not smile at times when expected or during instances of humor/shared enjoyment. He's in prison. He's in prison. Is he supposed to cry? Oh my God, you're so stupid. No, it's actually 1,400 cells. And they had to do like hella magnification to even get it to testing levels. But go ahead and keep being actually ignorant and show us that you can't read, because the amount of cells is literally in a report. It's in the report. And prove anything was frozen for the testing. There's nothing for them to test. The defense was not given it to test. They were told it was all destroyed and they couldn't test it. Like we've been doing this for years, broski. Yeah, like I don't know what, like I'm sorry, but if I'm in prison and I'm being prodded and poked at and going through a psychological evaluation, I don't care how humorous you think something is. I'm probably not going to laugh and smile at you. So even without his autistic traits, like how is this something that honestly matters? Because like I wouldn't be in a mood to smile and act like everything was just okay because you cracked some sort of weird joke. That's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. He often furrowed his eyebrows during more light conversations, which contributed to awkward engagement and incongruent nonverbal communication overall. There was no evidence of tearfulness, no overt indicators of anxiety or anger. Bryan verbally expressed mild frustration during my first visit in 2024 when an inmate was yelling during a portion of cognitive testing, which reportedly impacted his concentration. Well, I'm sure this seems pretty normal, right? If you're trying to concentrate on something and somebody's yelling and being a psychopath, wouldn't you be a little bit aggravated? Wouldn't you be a little bit frustrated, especially if you already had concentration issues? Because they talk about how he has ADHD along with his autistic stuff. So wouldn't you be frustrated a little bit? And to say mild frustration, I mean, he didn't flip his shit. He didn't get up and start throwing a fit and flip a table and start yelling and cussing. This seems pretty normal. Normal reaction here. Super normal reaction. Some typical social behavior was seen in Bryan's fairly consistent, though intense, eye contact, polite demeanor, and social conventions, meaning shaking hands upon greeting. Such behavior seemed routinized. Bryan also made a clear attempt to ask questions about others at times, but often the questions were about very specific details of topics that had been discussed previously. On a few occasions, he made positive comments about my educational attainment. He was never overtly inappropriate. So, again, seems to be respecting a female, talking about they're smart, appreciating their mind, appreciating what they do. Doesn't seem sexist to me. Doesn't seem like a woman hater to me. Frequent atypical social behavior was evident in multiple respects, however, including lack of descriptive or emphatic gestures, atypical speech tone and cadence. Okay. Well, the Visine guy is a millionaire, so I don't really see the problem either. Awkward interaction, lack of fluidity, awkward delivery of humor at times, i.e. carrying on with a joke longer than expected. He's socially awkward. He doesn't have good social cues. We know that. Awkward comments, i.e. I had a lot of fun doing the blank test. Well, if he found the test entertaining because he's in jail with not a lot to do, I don't really see that to be an awkward comment, honestly. Inconsistent. Plus, he likes to learn things. So yeah, I don't find that odd. Inconsistent understanding / acknowledgement of humor. Again, that seems pretty on level for what we're understanding. Poor reciprocity of interaction, including very frequent refocus of conversation back on his own experiences or unusual responses to my sharing. So he's trying to show some sort of connection, some sort of, hey, I have that in my background too. I'm trying to connect with you. Everyone does that. If someone's telling a story, oh my God, yeah, me too. Or, oh my God, yeah, listen to this. That's pretty freaking normal. Reduced social quality at times without awareness, primarily through matter-of-fact comments or directives, e.g., replying firmly, I'll tell you when I'm done, when prompted for anything else during cognitive measures, or in abrupt responses. So he wanted to finish a task before moving on to the next thing or answering the next question. I don't really see that issue either. Unusual observations he made during testing, like what? Occasional intense gaze. Yeah, we know that's not abnormal for people that have certain things going on. Speech, fluent, clearly articulated, and appropriate in rate and volume. Speech was monotone overall, but with episodic unusual inflection. Okay. Language, generally appropriate in content and form, with no grammatical errors. However, language was often over-inclusive and disorganized. Language was highly repetitive, with frequent scripted phrases, most often used as transitional statements, like objectively speaking, mind you, to be fair, moral of the story, or in test responses. Yeah, I don't really find a problem with that either. That's just how he speaks. Extensive vocabulary. Language was overly formal and very often metaphorical or philosophical throughout sessions. Comprehension appeared intact, no evidence of difficulty understanding me. Attention, highly distracted by sounds or activity in the environment with frequent peripheral monitoring. Numerous instances when he appeared not to be listening to instructions, requiring repetition. Weakness in self-monitoring of his own responses on verbal tasks. Concentration appeared most notably impacted during a timed visual matching measure due to an external distraction, resulting in the spoiling of the subtest. Okay. Impulse control. Impulsive tendencies throughout the evaluation, attempted to begin task early or turn pages himself, violated rules, rushed through tasks. Well, which one is it though? Is he not starting another task before he finishes something? Like, is he not answering you and starting the next part before he finishes? Or is he trying to rush through things and not paying attention? I feel like these are two completely different things. I feel like those are two completely different things, but I'm not the expert. All right. Thought processes. Generally goal directed, but often his thought processes appeared over-inclusive. At times, he insisted on telling a more elaborate build-up to his main point. He could be disorganized, but generally circled back to his point and told me if I interrupted his trajectory, insisting he be able to continue. Okay, so if she said something and it kind of messed up his concentration, he was verbal about telling her, hey, you kind of like messed me up there a little bit. Okay, he's honest. Interpreted instructions literally, at times leading to numerous questions and need for clarification, as well as apparent confusion about how to answer sometimes. Yeah, taking instructions literally is probably how you should do it, because that's what the point of instructions are. Right? So if you want him to be doing something different and you're having to answer a whole bunch of questions and you have to clarify what you said, maybe you gave unclear instructions, because instructions are meant to be followed directly. Preservative ideation was evident in multiple respects, as Bryan often carried on about topics in a more circular manner than expected, fixated on the routine or timing of breaks in procedures, and perseverated? I have never seen this word before in my entire almost 40 years of life. Perseverated. I've literally never heard this word ever. To recur or repeat continually. Okay, yeah, I've never heard that word before in my life. Sorry, not sorry. Or perseverated on wanting to know results of the testing. Rigid thinking and behavior were also evident in multiple instances, particularly related to timeframes, routine, and lengths of breaks. No acute delusional ideas or distortions of reality, but some unusual thinking processes were noted. Bryan also displayed hypervigilance in his current situation and when referencing past situations. Insight. Overall poor, though with moments of fleeting acknowledgement when explicitly challenged to consider his role in certain situations. Okay. Now, cognitive measures, evaluation data available to state experts upon request, but it's blocked out here. Let's see how long it goes down. Okay. Informant reports. Okay, so this is going to be the information that came from the family when they were being asked questions by the doctors. Okay. Bryan's parents, Michael and Marianne Kohberger, and sisters, Amanda and Melissa Kohberger, also completed symptom inventories capturing their observations of Bryan in certain areas. In terms of attention and metacognitive aspects of executive functioning, Bryan's family members did not report more problems than expected for someone his age in most domains. At a subclinical level, patterns within family members' responses suggested that Bryan struggles to concentrate when something is not interesting to him. I think that's literally everyone on this planet that's a human. And family members reported observations of problems planning effectively with procrastination and with disorganization at times. Mother reported to me that childhood symptoms of attention and EF issues were significantly amplified in these areas, though some continue to persist to date. Behavioral regulatory problems were more consistently reported across respondents, though only in one instance reported to notable access on questionnaires. Bryan's mother and sisters reported that he exhibits a variety of impulsive tendencies at times, such as rushing, saying things without thinking, talking at the wrong time, talking excessively, not thinking before acting, and difficulty waiting. During interview, his family described these patterns to be very impactful within their interactions. All family members also identified numerous symptoms of cognitive and behavioral inflexibility, and Melissa reported significantly more problems with flexibility than typical for Bryan's age. For example, family members endorsed that Bryan exhibits rigid thinking and behavior, as trouble coping with changes in routine, is inflexible, and struggles to accept alternative solutions to problems. Such aforementioned patterns are commonly characteristics of the behavior features of autism spectrum disorder discussed more below. Family members also consistently reported limitations in Bryan's self-awareness and ability to monitor his own behavior, particularly for impact on others. For example, all family members acknowledged that Bryan doesn't always notice when his behavior directly upsets others and does not understand why people are upset. Sounds like he's really just a matter of fact, and it's like a literal facts over feelings type situation, just actually hardwired into him because of his autism, to where even if what he says emotionally affects you, if he knows it's the truth, he doesn't understand why you're upset. I mean, honestly, same. And I don't have autism, but same. If you know that it's the truth, why are you crying about it? Like, that's pretty much where I've pretty much always been to. Multiple family members also reported that he often annoys or upsets others without intending to do so, and these patterns were discussed at length during interview with family. Relatedly, Bryan was reported to exhibit deficits in social awareness alongside other social deficits or atypicalities that are characteristic of autism spectrum disorder. Related to social awareness, for example, his sisters reported that Bryan is often unaware of others' thoughts and feelings and of things like personal space / proximity with others. Well, I don't think most of us are not aware of other people's thoughts and feelings because we don't read minds. Unless somebody is very verbal about what they're thinking, very verbal about how they're feeling. I mean, usually you don't want to just assume, right? I feel like that's pretty normal. Multiple family members also provided indication that Bryan has less insight into or distress about his social difficulties. Family members described engaging in extensive social coaching and provision of social feedback to little avail. Bryan's mother and sisters all reported moderate to severe deficits and atypicalities in social communication. For example, family members identified deficits in nonverbal communication in multiple respects, such as in limited range of facial expression, appears overly serious, constant RBF. I mean, okay. Difficulty communicating about his own emotions, and atypical speech tone, mechanical. Family also reported that Bryan is frequently awkward in conversation and struggles with the reciprocity of interaction, i.e. back and forth exchange. Okay, I can see that with what we've heard. Family members reported that Bryan compulsively talks and you can't get a word in. Bryan's sister Melissa also identified notable patterns of social cognition, often characteristic of ASD, such as literal thinking, problems appreciating the bigger picture, and over-focus on details. Yeah, see this compulsively talks and can't get a word in. Is that not what we've been hearing when it comes to the people that say that Bryan is in the room speaking to them, and even after they're like, okay, I gotta go, he just continues the conversation and walks with them to continue the conversation, because that's like the one disconnect he has is like, oh, they're actually trying to end the conversation, not trying to have me just continue walking with them because now they need to leave the room, but our conversation is still going. That makes total sense with autism. Total sense. Bryan's family members also reported restricted and repetitive behaviors and interests, characteristics of ASD, with sisters reporting moderate symptomology compared to what is typical for age. For example, family members reported Bryan exhibits narrowly focused interest with unusually high intensity, tendency to talk about the same thing repeatedly, preservative thinking, inflexible / rigid behaviors, and problems adapting to change. Well, I know I talk about this constantly, I think all of us probably repetitively talk about this case, that's for sure. Regarding daily living skills, Bryan's mother also identified underdeveloped social skills and limited pursuit of typical leisure activities in everyday life compared to what is typical for age. Yeah, so it seems like Bryan wanted to go hiking and drive around and wasn't trying to go party or find a chick or go to the bar. We see that. Slight differences relative to age were also noted in the way in which he takes initiative or lack thereof, and in his work activities, meaning attitude at work following instructions. And honestly, and I really am, I'm not trying to make excuses for shit, okay? I'm really not. But my thing about the school stuff is that what we seem to hear is that Professor Snyder sucked. Professor Snyder, I don't feel held up to the standard that Kohberger had for whoever was going to be his boss as a TA. It seems like Snyder wanted to take all the pretty girls for coffee and wanted to hurry up and get to the bar at 5 o'clock every day to meet his alcohol buddy, and didn't want to do extra work, didn't want to push his students to actually do better, which is why he wanted Bryan to relax on the grades and quit being so harsh on everyone. And I think that disappointed Bryan, because that's not what he expected. I think he expected somebody that he could respect. And when he sees a professor giving in to all the pretty girls and not grading correctly and letting people slide, I'm sure he lost a lot of respect for him. I mean, I did when I was listening to the way that he conducted himself. I was like, oh, this guy just kind of sucks. He's just there because he's got tenure and he's been there forever. And he's in his little routine where he takes the hot chick for coffee and then goes and feeds his alcoholism after work. His biggest gripe about Bryan was that he would hold him after class, meaning I can't get to my alcohol because of Bryan Kohberger. Now I hate him. That's literally what that entire interview told us about Professor Snyder. Bryan's parents and siblings also provided comments about strengths they believe he exhibits in areas of concern. Notable strengths included his mother's report that Bryan is always true to himself, and father's report that his knowledge is well-researched and fact-checked before he speaks. Melissa did say he's very aware of his intelligence, and he knows that pretty much he's usually the smartest person in the room, and he's not allowed, like he's not ashamed of the fact that he knows that he's highly intelligent and most likely the smartest person in the room he's in. Like he's very aware of his intelligence. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. How many people do you see dumbing themselves down because intelligence gets mocked and bullied? So they pretend that they're not as smart as they actually are because they want to fit in. I find it refreshing that he doesn't have that filter to suppress himself. A lot of females do it. Not so much in males, but a lot of females that are highly intelligent will dumb themselves down just to not be bullied or feel the way that people feel around them when intimidation is a thing. I wish more people were more confident in themselves and didn't suppress themselves around who they are around. And if you feel like you have to suppress yourself, just like in general, if you feel like you have to suppress who and what you are around the people in your life, then you've got the wrong people in your life. You shouldn't have to act more dumb just because somebody's ego might get hurt because you're smarter than them. Okay? Don't do it. Don't do it. Find yourself people that you can literally be your own free mind in front of. If you feel like you have to suppress yourself, if you feel like you can't put on as much makeup because she might feel upset because you might look cuter than her that day, or you can't talk about this subject because he might feel intimidated and embarrassed that you know more about it than he does, find new people. Find new people. Sisters commented about his intellect, logic, and humor, and they noted that he is resilient, strong-minded, and smart, and good at explaining new topics and teaching. Concerns that were noted by family were primarily social, emotional in nature, including difficulty with emotional vulnerability and lack of social skills. Diagnostic conclusions. Based upon the results of record review, interviews, and evaluation of Bryan, acquired in my context of my clinical training. Why do I have hiccups? I've had coffee and water. Coffee and water. Holy shit. Hiccups piss me off, bro. But you know what? Just side note, Ariel was born with hiccups, y'all. So Ariel was an emergency C-section. We both almost died. I turned gray, blacked out, don't remember shit besides waking up and her having 20 heads, okay? Whole story. But she was born with hiccups, and she had hiccups for like the first 3 days of her life. And she's aware of that because I've always told her that. So now when she gets hiccups, it's like, it doesn't even really phase her until it gets to a certain point because she was born with the damn things. But obviously, y'all see I have hiccups all the time. So maybe it's just genetics. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Isn't that crazy? But I haven't even eaten anything. I've had coffee and water and my blood pressure pill. That's all that I've had today. Oh my God. Oh, okay. All right. So let's see. Where did this start at? Okay, let's just finish this whole sentence right here. This whole paragraph. Based upon the results of record review, interviews, and evaluation of Bryan acquired in the context of my clinical training and experience as documented on my vita, and alongside my general knowledge of the scientific literature in my field, some examples of which are cited in the appendix. The following diagnostic conclusions are presented as being accurate and warranted at the level of reasonable psychological certainty. Current diagnoses, or current diagnoses, however you freaking say it. Autism spectrum disorder level 1 without accompanying intellectual or language impairment. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, combined presentation and partial remission. Obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, with absent insight. Avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, or ARFID, which is the main reason really why he's vegan. So these are the diagnosis for which Bryan met criteria in the past. Developmental coordination disorder, anorexia nervosa, binge eating, purging type in full remission. Now, normally if you say that word on YouTube, you get in trouble, which is why when people talk about that one girl who looks like she's literally dying in front of everybody, what's her name? Eugenia Cooney, whatever her name is. They have to dance around and not say real words, just like we can't say real words for R and M and SA and all them things. So we'll see what YouTube does. Usually that word is a big red flag. They really just don't want you ever saying, which is crazy because you'd think that they would want education on that so that people can get help with it. But no, if you say words like that when it comes to these sort of things, YouTube like freaks out on you. It's really strange. Unspecified depressive disorder, opioid use disorder in sustained remission. Well, I don't know if he's ever taken. Well, I guess this also shows you my ignorance when it comes to substances. Is heroin an opioid? I don't know. I mean, he could have used other things in the past, but yes, heroin is an opioid. Okay, see, I don't freaking know shit about shit. I know about naproxen, emotions, and Tylenol. That's about all I know about. So that's it does classify itself as an opioid. Okay. And then the autism spectrum disorder stuff is blacked out. Blacked out. What is this thing doing? Okay. Down here. And then it says the above conclusions are respectfully submitted as being accurate and warranted at the level of reasonable psychological certainty based on the data included in this evaluation, acquired in the context of my clinical background and expertise. And then it gets into all of her information. Notice it never says anything about psychopathy. He is not a sociopath. He is not a psychopath. He has autism, ADHD, OCD, and ARFID. So when people sit there and say, oh, he's a psychopath because he has this huge thing that was evaluation, tell me that you never read it. Tell me that you've never read it without telling me. When you're sitting there, especially that Riley Lou little freaking weirdo who's been talking all kinds of shit for years now, she's sitting there telling her audience that he's a psychopath. She is sitting there telling her audience that he is a psychopath, that he's got all these issues, and she's not being honest about what this thing is saying. And there's hundreds of thousands of people that listen to that dumb shit on TikTok and on Facebook that, because they're too ignorant to come and read the document themselves, think that he's a psychopath and that the state lied. No, he's not a psychopath. There's no diagnosis for psychopathy. He's a little strange. He's got some autism, some OCDs, some veganism things going on. He's real particular. He might be a little socially awkward and he can't move around all that well, but he's not a psychopath. Just because he's different doesn't mean he's a psychopath. I mean, I literally use psychopath as a funny term. Look how I talk about my cats. Look how I talk about what I just said about Don playing a game and not knowing that or not caring he needs to pee and then just trailblazing down the freaking hallway like a little psycho. To me, it's just a word, but it's also not anything in this observation. It's nothing that he was diagnosed with. So people that are trying to say otherwise, you're disgusting little losers, and maybe you need to shut up and sit down, learn to read a little bit, because that's actually kind of crazy. And there's nothing else here. This is everything that she's done. And see, again, all I'm seeing here is that Bryan has no issue telling a woman when he feels that she's smart, that he has no issues with women. There's nothing that I have read here, heard anywhere, been told from anything that makes me think that he's just this sexist woman hater. No. You don't say that you want to pick a woman's brain because you think that she's smart if you hate women and you're trying to degrade them. You're appreciating what she has to offer. And he just did the same thing with this psychiatrist. She just said that he would compliment the educational portion of her, whatever the hell they've got. Oh, y'all read the sentence with me. He doesn't have a sexist issue. It's crazy that just because one idiot got pissed off that he argued with her about her opinion on something, suddenly he's this woman-hating sexist, homophobic weirdo. No. No. It's one person. It's the same girl. It's a lesbian that argued with him that she doesn't want to be mansplained to, so she threw a big old fit and wants to put stickers all over the place, and he doesn't want stickers on his door. What's the problem? I don't want you coming over here and plastering shit on my shit either. Rainbow flag or not, it's my office, it's my door. If I say no, I say no. What's the problem? People have definitely over-exaggerated the situations here and tried to make this into something that it's not. And it's really sad to me that people, especially in big old 2026, with the way that things have constantly gone and with everything that we were supposedly, learning during the pandemic about the way that things work, that people are still this ignorant. It's not hard to read the documents. We read the entire thing in an hour. And I ran my mouth plenty of times and talked back to the chat. Steve, maybe open a document every now and then. Maybe you wouldn't sound like a damn clown when you talk about your child's murder case. Jesus Christ. Insane stuff. Yeah, that Reddington lawyer in the Lindsay Clancy case is crazy. Like crazy good. Those he has these poster boards he's using for the text messages, and I was like, I'm about to go run down to Office Depot and get me some poster boards of these damn text messages that we've got going on, because these things are crazy. That case is really wild. I don't know what to really think of that case. And I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, and some of you have asked if we could cover it, talk about it. We might eventually. I know my sister's watching that case. She has her opinion. She really does think that Patrick's full of shit and that there's something else going on there. Hundreds of thousands of other people all obviously think so too. The heart rate thing that came out yesterday, the fact that he is with this girl that looks just like Lindsay, that they were married so quickly, that he was already knowing her beforehand. Like, he took the other girl out on their anniversary night. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. I don't know enough details to really give a full opinion. I just know that the shit looks real sketchy. I know it looks real sketchy, and I don't give baby killers credence. I mean, I don't give them sympathy. I just don't. I mean, I've talked nothing but shit about Lindsay Clancy for years now. And then listening to the trial, I'm like, oh, something's weird, bro. I don't like this. I think the thing that really threw me off is when she said that she saw herself doing it, and then you see the lady that looks just like her, the crushed throat, and her only apparently admitting anything to him and no one else. I don't know. There's a lot there. And I've been listening to pieces of the trial, like in the background, back and forth. I mean, I just don't know what to think. I don't like what I hear. So we'll see how it all goes. Yeah, the body temp bugs the shit out of me. Not just that, but there's a picture. This is the thing about the body temp, okay? They were comparing her body temp to John O'Keefe's. And that was really kind of like, that's all I needed. She was apparently only like that for like 30 minutes and her body temp got that low, like in the 80s. I think it was like, what was it, 86? Was it low? It was low. John O'Keefe was out in the snow for hours and hours and hours and hours, dead. And when they made those comparisons, I was like, yeah, that shit don't really work for me either. And then her cutting herself and then the injuries here, that video of the TikToker crushing the stake in the window, and then the other one of the girl like putting her body out of her window to like make a, like, this is where the blood would be. Like, this shit doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, there's been a lot of people really trying to figure this out. I don't really know. But then people are also saying shit like, okay, well, these are the, like, it's not just women trying to defend women. We would all beat the absolute ever fucking loving shit out of Casey Anthony if we ever got the chance. Okay, all of us would. But this is different. This is different. But I also question if Casey Anthony had a baby daddy that was around her daughter, would we be the same with Casey Anthony because there's a dude? That's where a lot of people are questioning stuff too. So I'm like, well, there wasn't a guy, and Casey Anthony's a fucking liar. And we know damn well that she's a liar, and she got away with the most horrible thing she possibly could. There's no ifs, ands, or buts in 99.9% of people's minds that she got away with killing her kid. Okay. This is weird. I don't know. Again, I was totally like, nah, she was calculated. She waited till he left. She was a nurse. She dealt with postpartum depression. She knew all of the signs. Like, she had all the resources. She went to all the doctors. But then I see the trial stuff, and I'm like, okay, now this doctor needs to be having their license taken away, and this one needs to have their license taken away. And what? There's people now on TikTok saying, oh no, I went to her. She's full of shit. She put my life in danger, giving me the wrong medications. Like, there's people coming out of the woodwork now because this is such a big thing, that have talked to these doctors and been patients of these doctors that are like, nah, no, they don't care. They suck. No, I had to leave. There's just a lot. There's a lot. But I don't know. I don't have a full-on opinion other than shit looks real shady and I don't like it. And I'm paying attention. I don't have a definitive. I don't have a definitive. But I don't like it. So we'll see how all of that ends up. The fact that she's even on the internet. The fact that she thinks her opinion matters. I don't know why she's even allowed access to the internet. But then again, she was also found innocent of anything, I guess. So I guess they can't stop her from doing anything, right? Annoying as hell. Annoying as hell. Thank you for being a member for 2 months, Elizabeth. Thank you for all the jewels, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here. We've gone through the entire report. Yeah, Casey Anthony. We've gone through the entire report. I don't think there's anything else on here. Case summary has not been updated. There's nothing unsealed. I did put a FOIA in, or I guess a public records request with Ada County for the transcripts for the sentencing being released over to Bryan's new attorney. I paid the little $2 or whatever this morning, so they should have it to me today. I know Sarah already has it though. He just said, yeah, here you go. So they're going to do the transcript and give the transcript over to Bryan's lawyer. And they have the recording scratched out, which again, like, it was all live TV. The recording being scratched out doesn't mean anything to me. You can literally watch it literally everywhere. That's not a big deal. The transcript, though, has been approved. So I don't know if that means they already have it and they were working on it the entire time and now the order is in, or if it's just now approved and now they're going to be working on the transcript. I don't know how there wouldn't already be a transcript. There should always be a transcript generated and stored away and filed for every hearing that there is. There shouldn't be a wait for these things. But then again, look how Moscow's literally handled everything ever. Moscow's also getting on my ever-living ass nerves, though, because every single time I check my public records request from them, they're not making any moves. They are making 0 moves. Are you going to load? Yeah, they're making zero moves. I put in a request for the DoorDash information. Well, actually, I guess I can just pop this up right here. And not the DoorDash information we already have, obviously, because Kara sent me that DoorDash receipt, and that's why we have that now. What I mean is the picture. What I mean is the picture. So I asked them for... Right here, I asked them for, well, let me make sure y'all can see this. Because if I click on the other pages, then it's going to like show all my other stuff. And I don't want to do that. Okay, yeah, that's good. I asked them right here for any other DoorDash information and Jack in the Box video. Because I expect them to go in and verify what the hell Molly said. So I asked for Jack in the Box video from Pullman. And that one finally has an amount on it after not having an amount on it of $54, meaning they've done some shit. I don't know what they've done, but they've done something. And again, I asked for the picture of the drop-off of the food that Molly said that she took when she dropped it off at the door. And I'm requesting anything to that verified her information, including Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box. And I asked for it from midnight to 4 a.m. because she wasn't there at 4 a.m. She was obviously over there at 4 a.m., not Jack in the Box. So we'll see what they do with that. And then I asked for the chain of custody for Kaylee's phone. That one also has $54 on it. Then I asked for information regarding when they went to Jack DeCour's house. There's supposed to be video of them going into Jack DeCour's house, finding the blood, taking the samples, and all of the other documentation. I asked for that. That one only has like $9.80 on it. And then for this one, I asked for the chain of custody for the mattress and the metal bed frame that was in Xana's room because of what Turby said on his last interview. Then for this one, this is for any of the camera footage, the registration, the portfolio information for the hotel booking from the Quality Inn for that night. And yes, I did ask for the footage. I'm also requesting any interior/exterior security/CCTV/camera footage for the dates of Bryan Kohberger's stay. That one they've maybe opened and read one time. It only has $2 on it because they've done nothing. And then I asked for a list of all search warrants. Even if they're sealed, I want a list. I want a title. Just because it's sealed doesn't mean I can't see what it is in way of the title of it. So we'll see if they can give me that because I asked for the list plus just are they sealed or are they public? Now, we do know that there's most likely going to be a lot of them that we haven't seen when they do start unsealing stuff. But we'll see if they send me a list ahead of time or if they're just going to tell me no for the same reason they acted about the FOIA stuff, even though they ended up giving a list of FOIA stuff, even though they ended up giving duplicates of the FOIA stuff. It seems like they like to say no first. So we'll see what they do with that. We'll see what they do with that. See what they do with that. So I'm going to go ahead and get off of here now. You guys have a great rest of your day. I will be back soon. We have other interviews and stuff to go over. There's a lot of stuff we haven't gone over yet. Scroll up for what? I'm not your babysitter. What's going on? Who's arguing? Who's doing what? Who? Nobody's arguing. I think y'all are fine. Y'all are fine. Yeah, y'all are just talking. Oh yeah. Miller time is all about the Elliot Rogers theory, which is fine. We love our guilter. He's our resident guilter. He's our mascot guilter. He wants me to go over Elliot Rogers' manifesto. We will eventually because I know that that's a case a lot of people are want to talk about. No, you're good. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. We get a lot of weirdos in here that like to argue and be rude to people. So when I don't see it automatically, I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. No, you're fine. The Elliot Rogers thing, we will talk about it eventually for sure. A lot of people try to compare, which is fine. Everyone has their own opinions. A lot of people try to compare the Elliot Rogers things to Kohberger. So I have no problem going over those. I've never seen the manifesto. I mean, I've never read it. I know Miller Time has sent me stuff about it in emails. I've never read it. I've never read it myself. I never cared enough to read it. I don't care about that dude. I don't care about that dude. But I know a lot of people are comparing it, so it is something that's on my mind that we will eventually go over. There's a lot of other cases that people compare to this stuff that I really want to try to like. Okay, so help me explain exactly what you're seeing, type thing. You know what I mean? I have my own opinion, but I'm still interested in what other people think too. So we're gonna do that eventually. Yes, you, our resident guilter. We love you so muchos. We love you so muchos. But yeah, we're definitely gonna go over the Elliot Rodgers manifesto. We will. We totally will. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here. I'll be back later. I don't know what time, probably around 3:45-ish or so. I'm going to go do some stuff with the boys, make food, clean the house up a little bit, and I'll be back. We're going to do an interview. I don't know which one. As long as nothing releases, we'll do an interview. And honestly, the Sophie Whitehead interview has been at the top of my list over there for weeks now. And there's so many in between. So that's probably the one that we're going to go over this afternoon. And then we'll do something else later on tonight because it is Tuesday. We try to go ham on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's what we're going to try to do. Look, I wish we had magic powers like the genie chick from that old show where she just like twinkled her nose and everything was perfect. This is 2026. How come we don't have that now? Please compare it to this report you just read. His manifesto? To the psych report? Okay. We can do that. We can do that. All right. I'm going to jump off of here. Thank you so much for coming in here. And thank you so much for the super stickers and the super chats. Stop. I wasn't ready. Thank you so much for the super stickers and the super chats and the gifted memberships and those who joined on their own. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys so much. I'll be back later so we can go over some more evidence. You guys have a great rest of your day. See y'all.